Here's travel time for a bit of Jim Does SuperCoach, NFL Supercoach. The Week 15 wrap, the Week 16 look ahead. Oh boy, playoffs. That's right, it's playoff time. And as we all expected, Week 15's top scorer was Trevor Lawrence with 88. Jeez. And we also got 80 from Kyle Pitts. What a world. Rough week for me this week. Didn't loop the 50 for Bijan. Thought Josh Allen might top that. Finished at 48. That was a bit of a rough one. So I scored 532, which landed me in the top 10%. Not that great. I dropped 18 spots overall, down to 56. Bit of a, sort of looking over the scores from a bunch of the top scorers and whatnot. You sort of see where PODS are making a big difference, right? If you had James Cook this week, if you had Travis Etienne this week, if you actually had Kyle Pitts this week, you were doing pretty well. You were traveling okay. But I sort of managed to just scoot through. The biggest problem I had, I think, was probably my defense, special teams. The Rams did very little. And Jahmyr Gibbs, well, what they did do very well, the Rams, was limit Jahmyr Gibbs. Unfortunately, they didn't limit Amon-Ra St. Brown, who had 69, and he was on a bunch of other folks' teams as well, not mine, whereas Gibbs only managed like the 17. So, bit of a weird one. We'll talk out all the best scorers, surprises, etc. in a second. We'll talk some pods. But really, look, my trades this week, I sent Rome Odunze packing for Wan'Dale Robinson, which was okay. I think he had 27, which was obviously more than Justin Jefferson, Tet McMillan, and Rome Odunze combined. So they were my options. So the other tricky one was that was not quite the home run slog that I was hoping for. Whereas you watch someone like Trevor Etienne rip off a 59 or a Pitts ripping off an 80 and you're like, oh, that would have been nice. Trevion Henderson going whack as well. Pickens with the 9 really hurt me as well. I thought he would actually really feast. But instead, CeeDee Lamb was pretty good, coming off a little bit of an injury niggle for him. So let down by Pickens, just like Dallas Cowboys fans. Ruh-roh. I do expect him to go bang in the next couple of weeks, so he's got to realize that he's in a contract year at some point. But obviously the biggest stories coming out of Week 15, injuries. Patrick Mahomes is done. He's gotten surgery on his ACL. He tore his ACL and LCL. That's already, been surgerized, so he'll be out for at least 9 months, you think. He had 28 for the game, then he goes out. So he's priced at 21.4 mil. So pretty straightforward swaps if folks have trades left for a Jalen Hurts or a Drake May or somebody like that. Other injuries to keep an eye on, though. RJ Harvey left that game late for Denver with ribs, i.e. they were hurt, because most folks have ribs. Puka Nacua. It felt like every time he had a catch, and he had a million of them in that game, because, look, he and Matt Stafford. I like that Matt Stafford's just gone straight from his little Cooper Kupp to having his little Puka Nacua. I feel like it's just a bit of a vibe that they've got going. But it was a pretty crazy game that the Rams put together. And, I mean, the way that Puka was running roughshod over everybody was very cool. What wasn't cool is that every time he had a catch and he had 9 receptions for 181 yards, he'd go down, and then you're like, oh, God, is he done for the year? So keep an eye on Puka. Devontae Adams on the other side of that receiving room for the Rams. He also went out aggravating his hamstring injury. And Rome Odunze obviously was late out before the game for the Bears. In terms of other injuries, look, we'll probably find out more as this week goes on, but at the moment, those are the ones that are sort of sticking out. But for our Supercoach best performers of the week, I mean, as I said, Trevor Lawrence, 88, Kyle Pitts, 80, Amon-Ra St. Brown, there's 69. I was spewing, having not had quite enough, after Justin Jefferson had shed a bunch of cash, didn't have enough in the kitty to go to get Amon-Ra St. Brown, and now he's up to 19 mil, jumping 2.8 with his 69 this week. Trey McBride went whack with 62, James Cook's 59, Etienne 59 as well. Bo Nix, 58, very, very solid week for him. Trevion Henderson with the 57. Kirk Cousins, 53. Somebody was throwing Kyle Pitts all those touchdowns, just saying. Jared Goff had 51 as well. Bijan with the 50. Purdy, 51. JJ McCarthy had 49 as well. Not Justin Jefferson. Not throwing to Justin Jefferson, though. Josh Allen, 48. Jason Myers, the Seattle kicker, was their entire score basically against the Colts, 48. Puka and CJ Straya 46 with Tyrone Tracy as well. Ravens defense 46 and Jackson Dart rounds out the top 20 with 45, tied with Jalen Hurts. So obviously some surprises in this one. Kirk Cousins getting to 53 was pretty crazy. Kyle Pitts ripping off 80 was just absurd. So, you get that on the big jobs. But really, the rest of them, like Etienne, we knew that was a good matchup for the Jags. He took it and ran with it. Same with Trevor Lawrence. 88 is obviously a massive, massive score. He had 5 passing touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, and he had 50 yards himself. So, not bad. But in terms of like the ones that folks might have been playing on field, because like Lawrence is owned by 0.7% of the coaches. So props to the 241 of you out there who actually had him. But yeah, but Amon Ra going massive was handy. James Cook was handy. He's at 14.6% owned. And obviously Trevor Henderson still owned by 34% of owners. So not bad. The biggest flops, Darren Waller last week was just like a bit of a, oh, geez, what are you doing there, man? And then, of course, Tua played in the cold this week, and Darren Waller goes, well, that's fine. I'll catch everything he throws me. 44 for Darren Waller. Crazy. That's a roller coaster. But anyway, the big flops this week, Justin Jefferson, 6. Lad McConkey, 6. Tyler Warren, 6. Quinshon Judkins and Tet McMillan both had 7. George Pickens, as I mentioned, with the 9. Brock Bowers only managed 11. Ashton Genty had 12. Gibbs managed only 15. It wasn't even 17. Jeez. That is rough as, I'll tell you. Rashee Rice, only with the 17 as well. I actually, it's not really a bit of a, big flop, but McCaffrey only managing 29 against the Tennessee defense. The Niners couldn't quite blow them out of the water all that game. It was pretty strange. But anyway, the cash cows we're watching this week. Jim, are you going through this one pretty quickly? Yeah, cash cows, etc. What we sort of want to know is really, what are we doing heading into week 16? And if you are trying to get a little bit of cash here or there, someone like Blake Corum, break even of minus 19, price at 10.6 mil, still a pretty good downgrade target, but might not have the complete crazy upside of some of the other folks out there. Shadur made 2.1 mil this week, still going to minus break even, I think, as well. He only managed 12 points this week, of course, but because he had that massive, massive 68 2 weeks ago, that's in his cycle, feeling pretty good. Tyler Shuck looks fantastic for the Saints if you want to downgrade to him. It's a bit of a tricky one. I feel like he's got a bit of upside, but at that medium price point, I don't know if he offers enough to be a really good pod. He might go absolutely crazy out of nowhere. The Saints do play the Jets this week, so maybe Shuck could be a fun downgrade pod. Throw him in the flex and see what happens. I don't know. Outside of that, the cash cows like Pollard is still Tony Pollard. He keeps delivering. He had 34 again this week, 11.6 mil, break even to minus 28. He's an interesting pod and a bit of a cash cow as well. But with only 3 weeks remaining in the season, making that sort of cash is, to jump up to somebody else is a little bit iffy. Same goes sort of for Michael Wilson. If you don't have him already, it's a little bit dubious. Etienne's at 16.6 mil. He's got a break even to minus 11. He'll go up 3 to 5 mil. So he might be the one where you go, ooh, if I get him in and they keep feeding him down the stretch, maybe he just becomes an interesting pod overall because he's been really, really good, right? And it kind of makes sense. He's been fantastic for this Jags team. Their offense is clicking. And if you look at the way that he's been used, 59 points, it kind of makes sense. He's owned by 6.6% of coaches. It is a pretty good pod. So the rest of the cash cows, look, you've got your cheapy sort of QBs, and there's not too much really out there for, in week 14, this is kind of what you'd expect. The minus 41 for Kyle Pitts. Basically, if you bring him in and hope that he does that again, good luck to you. But, break even to minus 41, he's not going to lose money, right? If he sort of stinks it up. They do play Arizona this week as well, so it's a pretty good matchup. The same sort of goes for Tony Pollard. With the Kansas City game is a bit, who knows what's going to, I reckon that turns into a bit of a shootout. JJ McCarthy's still now got a break even to minus 21, but he's priced at 12.7, which is a bit janky. So yeah. Dallas got it. Might be the one of the, we'll just talk some pods, I guess, for a second. Pollard and Corum are pretty good ones. I think Dallas Goedert's also a pretty good one too, to the point where I might bring him in now for Tyler Warren. Because with Phil Rivers in charge there in the Colts, didn't fill me with too much confidence that they're going to really be able to utilize Tyler Warren in the passing game. So Dallas got it as a switch in, switch out bench option instead of possibly, moving him in and out with Brock Bowers, who, the Raiders look horrible, right? So it's a bit tricky. Got it. It's priced at 9.4 mil, break even to minus 17. So you're not going to lose money. It's a pretty easy switch over from Tyler Warren as well. Don't mind that. Trevor Lawrence, as I mentioned, 0.6% of coaches have got him. Kenny Gainwell's another good pod, I think, as well, just because with Jalen Warren, looking a little bit iffy here and there, like Kenny Gainwell just sort of keeps getting a lot of work, and they kind of rely on him a bit, especially in the passing game. Jacoby Myers, Michael Wilson, in terms of pods, I talked about them last week, but with these, Michael Wilson I like a lot more. He's a lot, more expensive. However, Lad McConkey, horrible couple of weeks. I just can't really wrap my head around going, okay, now this is going to be where the Chargers suddenly start using McConkey heaps when he's like got Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnson in there as well. And the Chargers have a really strange matchup against Dallas where you're like, okay, that's probably good for both teams, but I just don't know so much about the Chargers. Speaking of injuries, actually, Javonte Williams might be hurt. Just keep an eye on that if you've got him as your running back as well. But other pods, Corum, T. Higgins missed this week. Still, I don't know if you want to bring him in. So the pods really, in terms of where folks have actually, found some actual points, it's pretty light on. I think someone like Troy Franklin's a half-decent pod. They've got a Jacksonville matchup this week, the Denver Broncos. He and Cortland Sutton are both scoring handily, though, so I don't know so much about that. Drake May is your QB pod. I've got him on my team. It's one of my big sort of pods. He's in 4.9% of teams. They've got a really good, last two matches of the season. They play the Baltimore Ravens this week, but Chris Olave was another good one too, 5%, to the point where I might bring him in this week as well. Trying to figure out that wide receiver 6 spot for myself. Otherwise, you sort of look around that 5% owned range and it gets very, very light on. That's about Kyle Pitts is at 6.5, Etienne's at 6.6. We know that. If you had them this week, you're feeling good. But trades this week that I'm looking at really, with buys done, one piece of strategy that we hit on last week is to actually be okay with having a floating donut. So you can loop your vice captain on and off the field if you need to. This week, I feel like my threshold is 50 for Bijan. Looked at this Josh Allen game, figured he might be able to go past that against the Pats. And he was on 49, and then there's a couple of kneel downs, so he actually drops down to 48. If there had been a couple more passes, it was a snow game, the weather got worse, you're like, it's a bit of a rough one. But basically, trying to loop that VC, having that floating donut is actually okay, right? So outside of this, playing the schedule, this is what's important this week. This is it. This is the big thing, right? We are in week 15. You're in the playoffs or you're going for the overall ranking, all that sort of stuff. We are playing the schedule. This is the most important part, right? We're trying to gear our lineups to those teams that have easier matchups or at least give us more upside for really, really knock it out of the park scoring, even with your pods, even with your run-of-the-mill dudes that everyone sort of got. But essentially, for the next few weeks, we should just, who's playing the Raiders? Who's playing the Jets? Who's playing the Giants? Who's playing Tennessee, Cincy, Washington? Basically the teams that are eliminated from playoff contention. Even someone like Tampa Bay, we're now sort of seeing that defense is not firing on all cylinders. Yeah. So this week, Philly play Washington. And remember, we've actually got a Friday game this week. Then we have 2 games on Sunday. And then we have our Monday games. So that's literally Sunday morning, 9 a.m. And then I think we've got a 12:20 game. So it's Philly-Washington, which is a great matchup for everybody on Philly. I'm on board with this. And then we've got a Green Bay-Chicago game in that afternoon. We'll be at the Catfish in Fitzroy watching. Just heads up if you're going to come down. But Philly, Washington, I love this for Goddard. I love it for Saquon. I love it for Jalen Hurts. I love it for A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. Washington got a win last week against a pretty bad Giants team. Philly feel pretty good about them. Carolina versus Tampa Bay. I love this for Tet McMillan, Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle. The problem is trying to choose which one of them will probably go off. That's probably a great pod. I just don't know which one it'll be, right? If we have any more clarity, if like Rico's maybe got a little bit more of the workload, if Chuba's got a little bit more of the workload, who knows? But for the minute, it's just a little bit light on the ground in terms of being able to exactly figure out. This game is massively important for both teams, right? So you know that Carolina will be going hammer and tongs, going with Rico, going with Chuba. One of them will gut loose. I just don't know which one it is because, look, in terms of their, like, you know, carries and everything, I think last week Chuba had, 8? But the week before he had 17, right? So then you look at someone like Rico and the way that he was utilized. Last week he had 16 carries. Last week was 18. So you kind of feel maybe better about Rico, but it's a tough decision. But I do like them both against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, another pod might be Mike Evans. He came back, looked healthy, was really good last week. If he gets into the end zone against Carolina, though, he could be just like this random standout wide receiver that you didn't know that you could have had. Off we go. Emeka Egbuka's kind of fallen off a cliff. We understand that. Carolina at home, though, feels like a bit of a different beast. They are underdogs as well. So I like the Panthers. I like Tet McMillan to the point where I might not trade him out this week. I might keep him and see what he's got against this Tampa Bay defense that has been pretty squirrely. Miami at Cincy. That means a lot of Devon A-Chain as well. He was really good last week. I'm still not entirely convinced about Jalen Waddle, but if he's going to have a good game, it'll probably come against this Cincy defense, which is horrible, and the Dolphins are at home. They're not anywhere cold. That's important, remember? Tua doesn't win when it's under 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Where were they this week? Pittsburgh. What was it? Cold. What happened? They lost and stank. So I don't mind some of the Miami guys this week. And same goes for Cincy, to be honest. Like, Miami's defense had been better. But I reckon Joe Burrow will have to break out of this funk at some point. I think it'll be this week. That should be a nice, fun shootout there. Minnesota Giants. I like this matchup again. Justin Jefferson, he's on my bench. If he's going to break out, it'll be this game. I feel he actually had a touchdown last week. It got called back. I feel like this will be the week that they go, cool, Jalen Naylor's been fun. Jordan Addison, that's great. We're going to feed Justin Jefferson to keep him happy. JJ McCarthy, target him. Jones, Naylor, Addison, I'm not wildly convinced about them as well, but they should put up some pretty good numbers against the Giants. The flip side is I've got Wan'Dale Robinson. I probably won't start him this week against Minnesota. So, I mean, that's one of my pods is Wan'Dale, but the Vikings defense is still pretty solid. And Jackson Dart, look, he might find Wan'Dale for one or two. Big, decent passes. Bit interesting. I'll see how we go when we do our team reveal on Friday. Saints, Jets. I love this for Shark. I love this for Olave. The Jets are horrible. KC versus Tennessee. Gardner Minshew under center. Can you trust Rashee Rice? He's one of the most traded out players this week. I kind of agree with that. Tennessee's defense, pretty squirrely. Not that great. I just don't trust Minshew to really helm that. Rice, though, feels like the most likely to be like, I'm okay, just keep throwing me the ball, you know? Arizona, Atlanta, both sides. I love that. Bijan, I love this for Bam Knight. I love this for Michael Wilson. Kyle Pitts, I think, can still be fine. Drake London might even come back. If Drake London does come back, I reckon it stymies the Kyle Pitts experiment, but everybody, have a crack. Trey McBride, obviously, for Arizona as well. This Falcons defense, who knows what's going to happen there, but I still love Trey McBride. Detroit at home against Pittsburgh. I love this for Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs has gone like 0 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 0 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 0. When he scores, they win. When he doesn't, they lose. At home against Pittsburgh's very sketchy run defense. Love this for Jahmyr Gibbs in a bit of a bounce back to the point where he's probably going to be my captain, just saying. Houston versus Vegas at home. I love this to the point where I'm probably going to trade out the Rams defense to get Houston in. Houston have got just an amazing run, like an amazing defense across the board. Nico Collins, whoever is going to be their running back this week. If Woody Marks, who was also an injury question mark, doesn't go, another cheapie will be whichever Houston Texans running back backup we've got on board because they have like two of them that are wildly anonymous. But anyway, Buffalo-Cleveland is an interesting one. I don't know about the Josh Allen versus the Browns. This is in Cleveland. Myles Garrett going for the sack record. Not entirely sure about that, but Buffalo should still be fine. We saw the Browns just get absolutely manhandled this week by Chicago. The Browns at home are a bit of a different beast, but I still think Buffalo are too good. Allen should still be okay as well. James Cook, same sort of vibe. I think they'll try to protect Allen a little bit with Cook, and off they go. Ones to avoid, Jacksonville and Denver. In Denver, both sides of that, I'm not entirely convinced. Baltimore Pats, same sort of thing. I don't know what's going to happen in that game. The Pats could blow them out of the water. The Baltimore Ravens could just choke the living life out of the Pats offense. Henderson's been really good. Diggs has gone MIA. May's been fine. 2 rushing touchdowns this week really, really helped him. I love both the kickers in this game, though. Tyler Loop and Andy Borregales. So outside of that, bit wild. The trade-in candidates, therefore, this week, I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, if you can afford him. James Cook is a massive one, I think, for Buffalo. He's like really getting into his own. Whoever you want to trade in for Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Drake May. Drake May has obviously, as I mentioned, got 2 pretty good matchups after that Baltimore game this week. Matt Stafford's obviously a pretty good one as a bit of a pod as well, because Stafford, all he does is score like lots and lots and lots of points. He's super solid. He had 43 this week. He's like a hint more. He's like maybe $1 million more expensive than Mahomes, so you can get to him pretty easily. His last couple of weeks, he's gone 46 against Arizona, 43 against Detroit. He's on a short week against Seattle's defense in Seattle. I don't know so much about that one, though. So I'd probably prefer Jalen Hurts against the Raiders. Just saying, that's a big one. Kyle Pitts is an interesting pod, as I mentioned. Corum. Bucky Irving, maybe not so much. But the trade outs, I'm looking at Rome Odunze, obviously. Tet, I'm probably okay keeping him against Tampa Bay. Ashton Genty, you've still got him. Tyler Warren, they could probably go now. Pickens is a big one for me. He's going to have a massive game when he realizes it's his contract year. And Detroit's matchup this week against the Chargers, a Chargers team that's like, oh, we're going to make a little bit of noise, but we don't have like a front to protect Justin Herbert. And Dallas, like they're going to be like, oh, well, what are we going to do here? Chargers defense is going to have to try to keep them in it. I think Pickens can still get loose in one of these games. So I might keep the faith for one more week. So with my trades this week, I've got 3 left. I'll probably have the Rams defense out for Houston. Maybe Tyler Warren out for Dallas Goedert. I just don't trust Tyler Warren to go big with Phil Rivers under center there. So this is much more of a pod play for me. Bring Goddard in, probably play him on field ahead of Brock Bowers because Bowers against the Eagles defense, I just don't like that very much. And I reckon there's a bit more upside. We've got it. For captaincy this week, look, we'll talk this out on Friday's show. The team reveal. But for the minute, I'd look, if you've got Jalen Hurts, I'd be throwing the C on him so quick that it's crazy. Gibbs, maybe vice captain against Pittsburgh. Into Drake May for me against Baltimore, or Jonathan Taylor on Monday night against the Niners, though. The run defense of the Niners not too bad. Maybe Christian McCaffrey against the Colts on the road. But what I might do is probably the Josh Allen VC, because Buffalo play Cleveland early on Monday into the Gibbs captaincy. I think Gibbs goes massive against the Steelers. I think at home, Detroit, trying to keep their season alive, I think they put the absolute foot down. So there's a couple of good ones though there. Hurts is an interesting one. I think Jonathan Taylor against the Niners, maybe not so much. McCaffrey a little bit better. You do have Bijan against the Arizona Cardinals is probably not a bad one too, just because Bijan has been really, really good. Kirk Cousins just went, hang on a second, I'll just throw him the ball all the time as well as he can rush it. So Bijan's a pretty good look. That's an 8 a.m. start though, so you're going to get a little bit weird. So basically, you have to choose between Bijan and Gibbs. Nico Collins against the Raiders, it's pretty good as well. Hurts up against Washington. Did I say he's against the Raiders? No, Hurts is playing the Commanders. Love Jalen Hurts against the Commanders. What was it? Why do I keep saying the Raiders? They played them last week. Get mixed up. Anyway, I've done too many shows today. But that's it. VC, I reckon, probably on Josh Allen early. If you've got Devon Achane as well, I don't mind that against Cincy. Throw the VC on him, see if you can loop that. I'll probably go Allen VC into Gibbs captain, though. So that's how I'm looking. Anyway, that's it. Week 15 in the bag. Week 16 up ahead. As mentioned, I'm still at the very pointy end, so I'm going to have to go pretty hard for some of these PODs, points of difference. A couple more pods into my team this week just to sort of see if I can jump up the ranks a little bit. Got a long way to climb. I don't think I'll get into the top 10, but either way, check us out across all the socials, all that sort of stuff. Get around NFL Straya and NBA Straya every single week and day. Lots going on. It's a fun time, isn't it? It really is. All right, that's it. Week 15 in the bag. Week 16 of NFL Supercoach ahead. Hope you have a good one. This has been Jim Does SuperCoach. Happy Supercoaching.
Still a